Welcome to another G4 Guitar Teacher Hangout. My name is David Hart, and we're going to do our Q&A session today and see what we can uncover. Okay, Joachim, have you got any particular questions you want to talk about today?
I think I wanted to sort of, so I mentioned with you know, if you have employees and you change over into contractors.
Yeah.
It's I will check with the accountant sort of the how it all works. But what I wanted to ask about was what do you tell them? How do you tell the employees sort of, you know, how to do the changeover?
Okay, with current employees, you probably just want to discuss with them the advantages to them, and I would still make it a choice initially. Just say that you know, this is something that would work well for both of us, and it means that you're going to be able to run like a business, and you know, it's much better in terms of tax deductions. Everything that you get here, it's like a contract, and you get paid, and then anything that you incur as a business, which is travel expenses, it could be a car, it could be you know, certain clothes you buy. You know, when you're in a job, a lot of those things you can't do. You've got to travel to work yourself. You can't claim travel. You know, anything they buy for their guitars and their instruments, anything that can be, you know, somehow attached to their business, and as a business, they can even you know, build it up over time. So there's lots of possibilities, you know, lots of tax advantages that they can get over time. In other words, you know, things like they might put an ad in you know, a newspaper for something, and if it could even be selling their guitar, and that comes under their business. The cost of that ad comes under a business expense. They can claim expenses at home, such as cleaning products. It could be their own computer. They could their telephone. Yeah, anything really that can be shown as a business expense. That's the bottom line. So they will probably pay a lot less tax. Well, they should absolutely pay less tax if they're doing it right. Yeah. So that would be what I would say. I would say straight up, you'll probably save about 10% on your tax, and maybe more. Who knows? Just depends on how much you spend
on tax. Yeah. And so they probably want to know why do I want to do that?
Okay, you can say it's you want to be able to, you know, I mean, there are two reasons, and you need to be honest about the reasons. The first reason is that you're having to pay superannuation and other expenses, so it becomes very costly for you, which, you know, really eats away at the profits of your business, and it just means that you can't be as efficient within your business. But another reason is that you want to give the employees of you more control over their income, and it's been suggested that this is an option. You don't necessarily have to state your reasons unless they ask, but if you want to tell them, and you know, I always believe in being 100% honest. If they ask you why you're doing this, what's your motivation, then just be straight up with them.
Great. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So they, you know, they might sort of say something like, and some people are very, you know, in the US it's called 401k plans. In Australia it's called superannuation, and you're paying, is it 9 or 10%? Is that right?
9.5. Yeah.
Okay. So 9.5%, which is a fairly hefty amount, and they may, well, they would see it as something that they're looking forward to. They get it. You're adding to their super when they turn 60 or 65, whenever it is. They will get a nice lump sum. Thanks very much to you, and so they may view that as a loss. But if you can show them that they're going to make it up in tax, you know, so it's no loss, and then they have control over, they can do what they like with that money. And it doesn't cost you as much now, and it also incentivizes you to pay more as things grow, because if you've got to keep paying 9.5% in super and they're getting 25% or sometimes more tax taken out of their pay, then they're it's costing you, it's costing them, it's an expensive, and it's really, governments set this up because the governments obviously want the tax revenue, and that's fair enough. The governments need tax, but they also cater for smart people. That's the thing with tax, is it's not actually designed for financially illiterate people. It's the financially illiterate who suffer the most under the tax laws. People who understand the tax rules and the tax laws and know how to set it up legally and correctly will benefit greatly, and that's why your Apples and your Microsofts and these companies pay 1% tax.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
yeah. Sorry.
So that was that's what I want to say as well. Like for example, one of the newest employees I have, like his salary has increased 300% or something since he started, and I think as he the business is going to grow much faster if we don't have that. We can invest into business rather into superannuation.
Yeah. What you want within your business, within any when you bring in people, there is most very successful people, they understand that they will work for free in a company. In some cases, they're even prepared to pay the company to work there, because they know that they're thinking about the other end of the spectrum. They're thinking about the big prize, and so you're not going to get people to work for free for you easily, because most people don't see that perspective. They don't see, I come and work under you. For example, you're paying me, right? You guys are all paying me to learn and to improve your business, not just to learn, but to get all the systems and everything. So to improve your business, you're paying for that because you guys are smart enough to understand that investing in education is going to pay off long term. Whereas guys who seek jobs, who are under employment, most of the time what they're thinking is that I just want to be paid now, and I don't look at this job from a perspective of that I'm learning anything or getting anything out of it. But how they see it, and this happens in a lot of jobs, I'm not just saying it's their point of view, sometimes it's the facts, is that they are qualified to do something, and then the company is paying them like a contractor almost, but they're paying them under a job situation where they come in and they do the job. But in a lot of jobs, there's training being provided, which is very valuable training. A lot of guys who want to learn management go and work at McDonald's, right? Not because they want to work at McDonald's, but they want to learn how management works and how business works. And I remember, when I first started in my early days of working in jobs outside of my parents' business, which when I was about 18, I worked for a company called Downtown Duty Free, and sell all these duty free products. And I found out that the managers that were there were mostly ex-Woolworths managers. And the reason and just for you, Monty, Woolworths is like our big supermarket chain in Australia. So it was obvious that these guys were looking for Woolworths trained managers because they knew they had a certain standard of management skills already that they could bring on board. So even though they had come from Woolies and they'd been on low paid management jobs, they were actually getting training, valuable training. And so the training that you offer to your guys is very valuable. And that's something that needs to be incorporated into what you're doing. Okay, so and I think it comes down to what you actually do. Are you training them? Are you giving them value in terms of training? And that's something that I think you need to step back and have a look at and say, well, how much am I providing in the value of training? And then let them know what they're getting out of your training. And,
Right.
and another thing to do is to let them understand where it's going. If I just turn up to your school as a teacher and there's no career path for me, there's nothing beyond just turning up every day and teaching, then I will probably lose enthusiasm for working for you pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So you need to paint some kind of career path for me, and the career path of G4 is two things, and you can decide which way, or they can decide which way they go with it. The two career paths which we have, which a lot of music schools don't have, or teaching jobs don't have, is one, they can become a manager for you, so they can do the teaching, get very good at the teaching, and then eventually become a manager, especially your early employees, because as you grow, then you're going to need these guys to train your new employees. You don't want to be training everyone. You want to just train the first guy really well, whoever that is, he or she, and then they can then train the next person, and so on. The other career path is obviously for them to become a G4 franchisee. So if you, and that's not a bad thing, you might think, well, I'm going to lose a valuable employee, I've trained them, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't work like that. What happens is that when you do that, you're helping to build G4, and you're helping yourself, because now you've got someone who's another G4 member, but also along the way, you will probably keep them for at least a couple of years before they decide to do that. Ryan is an example of someone who's an employee of yours who's now become a G4 guitar franchisee. Michael is an example of an employee of mine who's become a G4 franchisee. So and that's how it's going to grow. It's going to grow, and the best way for it to grow is through people who have actually come through the systems, because someone who's been an employee of yours will have two sides of the coin. They will have the side where they really learn how to train employees, how to treat employees, the whole thing through what you've done, but they'll also learn from your mistakes, and they'll have the idea of, well, I won't do this, or I won't do that, or I'll be a better this or a better that. Everyone kind of evolves based on their own experience. So if you can make that clear, and I come back to students, one of the reasons you lose students is because they lose the vision. They don't have that vision anymore of where they're going with their music, and that's a prime reason that students drop out. And because why would a student drop out if they have this dream to become, a guitar player and play in a band and tour the world, whatever their dream is? Everyone has different dreams, but whatever their dream is, if they lose that vision and that dream, they're gonna think, I don't need to turn up for lessons. This is boring. There's no reason to be here. And most of the time, we're not going to get out of bed unless it's for something that we have a vision for and we're driven by. You've got that within your own business. If you start feeling that your business is a bit of a drag, and it's like hard work to get there every day, and you'd rather head down to Bondi and jump in the surf or something. If you're feeling like that each day, and you're not jumping out of bed enthusiastic to get there and open the door first thing, then something's wrong. Something's gone. The vision has disappeared, and you need to get back to that vision.
Mm-hmm. What's some of the ways you can get there, sort of to show them the vision for where they're going with guitar?
With students, and same with employees, it's just ask them, what is your vision? And if they don't have a vision, that's the first place I would start. If we need a vision, we have to have a vision. We've got to go somewhere with this. Why are you playing guitar? And most people have a vision, but they won't always tell you that. Some just want to play a bit, because they don't want to say they've got big dreams and big aspirations to you in case you sort of laugh at them or it doesn't happen. People don't want to be humiliated, and that's cool. I understand that. But part of building trust is when someone will reveal that vision to you, when they'll open up to you and say, look, quite honestly, I would love it if I could be, the next Jimi Hendrix, the next Bob Dylan, whoever they want to be. Then if they then start expressing that, great. And a good place to start is with your own vision. Talk about where you came from. Why is it that you were playing guitar? What kept you going all these years? What was the vision for you? And what's that's one of the things that I I loved about teaching was that I was constantly tapping back into my own vision and my own reasons for playing guitar. You know, my early aspirations were, my very early aspirations was I just loved it. It was a connection that I had with my father mostly. You know, my parents divorced when I was quite young. I think it was about 6 or 7 when they divorced, and my dad didn't have a TV, and we would, you know, he just played records, but he was always into the latest stuff because my dad was a young dad. He's still my dad, but as a dad when I was growing up, he was a young dad. So he was only 22, 23 when I was born. So having young parents as I did, my mother was only 20. They were still very young. You know, they were into listening to all the latest music, and really, you know, at that time my dad was listening to, you know, the Stones, and you know, even the Beatles were old by then. They were over the Beatles. They'd moved on, and you know, he was listening to Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, and you know, whatever was coming out. So we really, I was able to you know, my early fond memories were listening to music with my dad, and so that led to me wanting to learn music as a young teen, and then came the kind of the aspirations to play in a band. And I won't say that I was that kind of kid that had these, you know, driven about being in you know, on the stage and the whole thing. That wasn't really a big motivator for me. I just loved the music. I loved the creation of the music. I used to do crazy things, like I had 2 ghetto blasters, and they had tape recorders in them, and I would record on one. I don't know if any Monty, you might be able to relate, I'm not sure, but I'd record, you know, on an old Philips cassette, me playing the drums, and then I'd play the Philips cassette, and then I'd get the other one, and then I'd put a different tape in that and record on that, and then have the guitar. So I had 2 tracks, and then I'd do it again in 3 tracks, and by the 3rd or 4th track, it was just like shh, you couldn't hear a thing. But I was so keen to do some multi-track recording, and
I'm sure they had reel-to-reel back then.
Yeah, they did have reel-to-reel, but it was certainly out of my price range. We're talking very primitive, early, you know, stuff. We're talking Stone Age here. Going way back. But they did come out the Fostex. Does anyone remember the Fostex? You remember those, Monty? The Fostex.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, they were the little. Tascam did one as well. The little 4-track recorders. And we put the cassettes in them. And they came out, you know, probably when I was about 15, and I just thought, this is it. You know, the world has changed. People got excited about the internet and mobile phones. I got excited about the 4-track. That to me was just brilliant.
A buddy of mine has a Tascam that still does that.
Little 4-tracks? Yep.
TDK recording artist.
Fantastic. Excellent. No, I had a little Tascam drum machine as well. So I had the 4-track Tascam recorder with the Fostex, and then the little drum machine, and I had the Juno keyboard, a Roland Juno keyboard, and I just thought I was Van Halen. I thought I had it all going on. You know,
oh yeah.
I could program the drum tracks, and you know, but it was pretty shocking. You know, listening back, it was pretty bad stuff. But it was what I loved doing. I just loved the whole process of creating, you know, new music that no one had ever heard before, and that's what it was about for me. And I got a real buzz out of that, and I still do. I still enjoy it now. Yeah, and that was really what it was about for me. And that's what drove me to keep going. And I played in bands and all the rest of it, but I wasn't that enthused about it. You know, I liked playing in bands. I enjoyed the social element. I really loved the jamming. That was really what I enjoyed, was always jamming. We did it every weekend. We would jam. But as far as preparing and getting on stage and playing gigs, there was a lot of hard work most of the time. The playing itself was great, but the preparing, all the stuff that goes with it, lugging the gear. And gear these days is probably not as heavy as it was back then, but we were carrying these boxes, and it took 4 of us to carry them. And you know, we were playing like full rock gigs, and a lot of the time you were doing the support for a big band. So you would carry their gear. That was the deal. They brought you in, you'd get the gig, they'd pay you $50 each, but you'd have to turn up at 4 in the afternoon to set up, and you'd have to be there till 3, 4 a.m. in the morning to pull everything down. So yeah, they were long, hard, grueling days. We were young and dumb and willing to do whatever it took. And so they just the agencies just took us for everything they could get. They really milked us, paid us as little as they could, and made us work as much as they could get out of us. So I kind of burnt out on that. We started that, I'm talking 14, 15, I started doing those gigs, and then by mid-20s, I'd had enough. I was like, no, this is just too much like hard work. Yeah. Yes, but I went on and I went to doing acoustic gigs and stuff like that, which were a lot more easier. I enjoyed them a lot more because it was you just rock up with your acoustic guitar and plugged into usually a house PA, and that was it.
Yeah.
Good old days.
It didn't even have to. It just needs to resemble the original song.
Exactly.
You take out a chorus, miss a measure. Whoops. Who cares? No
exactly.
one knows.
Yeah. And people, once they know the tune, they're just happy to sing along. It doesn't have to be, like you say, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you've got the melody right, you've got the basic structure right, people will enjoy the song. So yeah. So back to that, you can see that I sort of went down a kind of a memory lane there, and really sort of showed you what it was that inspired me and my vision for me and what I was doing and what inspires me, each stage, and that will change for people. Sometimes it'll be different for different people. So what you want to do is find out what that is for that person and keep tapping in on that. Make that something that they don't forget about. Cool.
Yep.
All right. So Michael, have you got any questions that you want to? I'm just going to close this window because we're on the flight path this morning. Michael, you go for it.
Yeah, my question was basically in regards to our. I'm interviewing some teachers next week, doing the group interview thing. So I've met them all on Skype just briefly. So I guess just to review the structure of what I should be going through in this group interview to really make the selection a good one, and and anything you can suggest for like role plays or how would you structure the 90-minute group interview? Okay,
cool. Well, it's good because I know you guys both did the last one, you and Joachim, so you definitely have some experience there. Let me, before I answer the question, throw it back to you. What was one good point I'll get from both of you? Joachim, what was one good thing that happened in that group that you would definitely do again in that group interview?
In Penrith or the one in Paddington? Because I did two.
Okay, either. Just pick one thing that you would take out of either.
The one I did in Paddington, I went back, so I didn't participate. I was just more observing. So I asked them to say, okay, we're going to role play and show me how you would do a lesson, how you teach a lesson, and then I just looked for who took most initiative and were most enthusiastic about what really wanted to do it, and someone that was just sitting around and was scared to do it, that didn't want to sort of get embarrassed or whatever. It's like, okay, well, you want to show initiative, even if you don't do it perfect. Yeah.
So one of the things that you enjoyed about it was actually seeing how they would respond in a group environment. And there's nothing wrong with being nervous or that. People have those things, and that's cool. But it's more about, are they willing to step up? Are they willing to do something, even if they are nervous? I don't mind if someone, and I would say this to students, I don't mind if you get on the stage and you freeze and your fingers don't work and you sweat and all that. That's fine. What I'm looking for is for you just to give it a go. I'm not going to judge your musical performance, and I don't want anyone else judging your musical performance. What this is about is gaining performance experience, because that's a big thing. I remember those, early performances, how nervous I was, and how sick to the stomach even about getting up, in front of people. And that's something that it's not that it's as they say, courage or bravery is not jumping up in the face of something with no fear. It's actually doing something in spite of fear, and that's what we're looking for. Is are you willing to try it even though you're afraid and you're nervous?
Another thing was in Penrith, the guy who works there now. He was very nervous to the interview, but he had the most. He raised his hand and wanted to talk the most, even if he was nervous. You could tell he was nervous, but he did it anyway.
He did it anyway, and that's great. That's exactly what you're looking for. That kind of, because some people will come across very confident, and that's okay. But and I'm not saying you would dismiss them, not at all. But you, at the same time, you're not seeing an act of sort of courage there. So I would sort of look for different points that I would judge them on, or try and find something that's going to put them out of their comfort zone, and see how they respond. Are they okay in their comfort zone? Because most of us are okay within our comfort zone, but take us out of our comfort zone, and then that's when we start to really show who we are. How are we going to handle the situation? Are we going to crumble? Are we going to run away? Are we going to hide? Or are we going to just say, well, look, I'm going to face it and do my best, even though I'll look like an idiot. I'll try it anyway. When I go to, and you guys have had experience of this, when I go to these seminars, there's always those moments where they say, would anyone like to ask questions? Right? And you watch, you look around, and everyone's sort of sitting, and no one wants to stand up and ask the question. That's the time I know here's my chance to be a little bit brave and stand up and ask a question. And it pays off because you get more attention from the speakers. They start to know you. They often in the breaks they'll David, how are you? Blah blah blah. You're much more likely to do that. You might have seen David Koch, the guy that does the Good Morning Australia show. He basically was one of the speakers. He was a special guest at one of the presentations I went to, and you could see everyone was kind of nervous to speak to him and all that. And I thought, I'm just going to go up and talk to the guy and see what he's all about. And so I went straight up to him and had a bit of a chat, and said, can we get a picture just for the record? And he said, yeah, no problem at all. And then he started asking me about my business. He wanted to know all about what we were doing, and we probably chatted for what was probably about 10 minutes. It seemed longer, but it was probably only about 10 minutes. And he was very curious to learn about what I was doing, and because he's interested in business. He's that's what he does. He's a business expert. So it pays off to be, and that's what you're looking for. Is you're looking for that person who's willing to step out of their comfort zone. That's what I look for anyway. Cool.
So Joachim, did you actually go along and get each person to sort of stand up in front of everybody else and have a go at just teaching, or did you just leave it open to them and say who wants to have a go at role-playing a teacher position?
Yeah, and I just saw who. Yeah, exactly right. I just said, so who want to go first?
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Cool. And then was there any specific situations that you sort of gave them and say, what would you do in this? Like, what would you do in this situation? Or
Yeah. So I gave them the folder, G4 folder, and said, just teach this person to how to play chords.
Yeah.
Or another one was like, he haven't practiced. Well, how would you talk to him if he didn't do his practice for the week?
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So just maybe think of some common things that you would deal with every day, and just see what they would do. Obviously, it's hard to judge them on what they might say in that situation, but at least you can see, as you say, their keenness.
Yes.
No, good.
You're just trying to assess their character. This is a person you want to see in different situations to see how they respond and react, and by creating some different scenarios, it'll give you that kind of insight into who they are and what they're about. And I think also I would add to this is giving them a chance to ask questions. And really, one of the things that they do at Disney is that when people apply for the Disney job, they go through a whole bunch of interviews and whatever in the beginning, and then eventually they get to this point where they take them all into like a big auditorium, I think, and then they watch a film about Disney. And I think the film goes from maybe an hour or whatever. And they reckon that about 25% of the applicants walk out before the film even ends because they decide it's not for them. And the film probably shows, and this might be something good to do now that I'm thinking of it, but the film probably shows them going through their training and then the performance and then out there doing whatever they do at Disney. So maybe having some footage of teachers in action, you in action, and you know what kind of things to expect. So if you just start taking some video of yourself in action and then use that video and maybe even run a 10-minute presentation when they first arrive or at some point in that interview and let them watch it and then say, what do you guys think? What do you think about what you just saw? And then sort of look at the reactions and see, because this is what it's all about. This is what we do here. And that will really help you to sort of narrow down. And you can even say, you know, this is one of the things that's happening with a lot of the kind of modern or the modern trend, if you like, within employment and HR, is that they're saying to employees, this is the job, this is what's involved, these are the kind of things you do. Look, if you don't like it, that's okay. You know, we don't mind. We know it's not for everyone, so we want to say right now you can step up and walk out now. Now that you've seen what we do, or now that you've been here for a week, you know, no hard feelings. You can go. And in some cases, if you look at companies like Zappos, they actually pay the employees. They offer them a couple of $1,000s to walk after, you know, I think within the first month. If you don't like the job and you want to, they say, we're going to give you a couple of $1,000s to walk right now. And so it really tests. I'm not suggesting you do that, Michael, just yet, but you just having that kind of idea of letting them know there's a door out early is a great way to go. Make it easy for them, because some people will feel guilty, especially if they accept the job and after a couple of weeks they don't really want the job. Then they feel kind of guilty about that you've gone through this whole process, you've selected them, and now, oh God, I've got to let you down. And that happened. One of the guys that Joachim picked, who was very good, but he obviously, it wasn't for him for whatever reason. And so after all that process of selecting him and the whole thing, it was a bit of a letdown, and I'm sure for Joachim it was a bit of a letdown and a bit of a problem. But if you prepare for that and give them plenty of scope for that, then you're not going to have a problem. You're going to go, okay, cool, it happens. Now I'm going to go to my B plan.
Yeah, I was thinking of spending the first sort of 10 minutes or so just sort of giving a bit of history, like talking about yourself and how the method started, and yeah, a bit about where I've been in the last 5-6 years, and where I'm planning to head, plans for the future and things like that, just so that they kind of just be very transparent and open as to what and how I felt at times about the teaching, and sort of give them a bit of an overview of the good and the bad, I suppose. Yep. And then one thing that we didn't do in Penrith, which I don't know if I would also like to just start with just having a bit of a jam, like just playing a few songs. Like, I don't know if that's something you recommend, but just to kind of see how comfortable they are just playing guitar in front of people, in front of each other.
That's great. Great idea.
Start on a positive note, and just sort of that's what it's all about. And then and then do some role plays, and then questions at the end. Basically, that was sort of my, I guess, my structure at the moment. Yeah.
You could. I think probably what I would do, as we did recently in Sydney, is give each one a turn to teach something. Just the rest of you sit down as the class and get each one at a time to teach something. Just something simple. Teach us a riff, whatever. So that's what I would do.
All right. Would you? So what Joachim was doing was said, who wants to go first? Would you sort of do that, or would you just say, just say to someone, can you get up and do it?
I think Joachim's approach is good, because you get to see who's willing to jump up. It already immediately tells you something. Who would like to go first? And I mean, there's two ways it can go. You can have the person who's sort of like, really keen, let me, kind of wanting to jump in, but then are they too keen, sort of thing. And then the other extreme of the one, don't pick me, don't look at me, please. I want to go last. So, yeah, I think it's good to ask and see what reaction you get. Any situation where you're going to be able to see them in a little discomfort, I think is good.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Okay. Yeah, I think that pretty well sums it up. And yeah, go through that scenario. There's a couple of things there. The main tips I would take away from that is, one is to get them out of their comfort zone to see how they respond. Number two is maybe not this time, but another time, get some video and show them what it's all about. Maybe make up a video. We could probably make a collective one where all of you guys could do a little bit of video of teaching different classes, and we could put it together into a 10-minute video and then play it and show them, teaching different age groups, whatever. And then the other is to get them to teach something in the class. And I mean, if you want to be fair, you could even let them know in advance. Just say what's going to happen is we're doing this group interview, but what each of you are going to do, you're going to get 5 minutes to teach us something. So come prepared. I think that would be a good way to do it as well. See how prepared they are.
Cool.
So, something Michael, is I always advertise for teachers, and I just say it's like casual. It's like if I need someone, you can get a shift, and that way I always have someone. I'll back up, like when I'm ready to hire someone, I have like a list I can go into, as a backup.
Yeah. So you routinely advertise for guitar teachers and have a list. Yeah. Okay.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you interview those people first, or do you meet them in person, or what do you do there?
I just start with the email. Say, can you send me a resume? And then I say, here's 4 questions, answer these, and then I send the quiz, David Hart's quiz, and then I found a lot of people that never do it. So then, cool, okay, great. So that's me time.
It's a good, it's a good filter.
Yeah.
I would. The other thing, just thinking about it, I remember with G4, one of the big problems that happened for me was that I grew so quickly that I couldn't find enough teachers, good teachers, but more so I couldn't train them up quick enough. And you got swept up in that, Michael. We'd grown, and you kind of came almost at the tail end of it, but we'd grown at such a rapid rate that we had 20 teachers on the books, and it was just a nightmare in the end because they just hadn't had the training that they needed. They were sort of going off the method a lot. They weren't. They didn't have even the confidence in the method because they didn't really understand it well enough. And but there were a few guys like yourself who were very question oriented. You were asking questions all the time, this, that, you wanted to know, whereas others were just sort of working it out themselves and going off on tangents. So the idea, what Joachim's saying there, of hiring, constantly looking for people, I think it's good advice. And the way that I would think about it now is that I want to find the right person, and then I want to find the students. And rather than finding lots of students and then trying to find teachers to sort of take care of those students, because you kind of got your teacher is your product, and it's like you're selling a product you don't have, or you're selling a faulty product. So I think starting with your teacher is the way to start. And even if you, my philosophy was, I remember when I brought Daniel on, and Daniel turned out to be a great teacher. And what I did with Daniel was I didn't have enough work for him, but I didn't want to lose him, so I got him doing flyers. And that's what I would think about, is that I would say to these guys, as I think I've mentioned in the training, that if you can take them through a period of doing flyers, then that really will see how committed they are to the job. Another guy, Steve, who's Gordon, he worked for us doing whatever. He was an assistant actually to Emma, but he did the flyers and did other things. And he did that for a good 6 to 12 months, I think. I can't remember exactly how long, but he was around for a while before he started teaching, before we put him into a teaching position. He didn't initially come for a teaching position, but we ended up, because he proved himself as a loyal employee and very trainable. So that's what you're looking for, is can you train people? And if you can't train them to at least do flyers, probably don't have much shot at teaching them to be a teacher. So I would look at it from that point of view, is that we're going to move up through the steps. Are you willing to do flyers? And where Jakob said, he's not, it's a casual position. Starting off with a position of doing flyers is a real test to see whether or not they're going to stick around and they're going to be part of your team.
Sounds okay.
Yeah. Might be a good one for you too, Monty, because I know you're not that keen, or you don't have that much.
Not ready yet.
Doing the flyers.
Yeah, they're on their way.
Flyers. Get someone out there doing the flyers, and they'll pay for themselves. They really do. That's the thing with the door, well, in your case, the door hangers. That they will pay for themselves. But it's, you got to test. I believe in testing it yourself first, so you don't pay someone $500 and get no results. You know that you spend $500 and you get back $500 in new enrollments. That's what you're looking for. So it pays for itself almost immediately. Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Time will come. The time is coming, Monty. You'll rule the East Coast of America. You'll be the G4 man.
That's right.
We've got David Mintz is just opening his second location on the West Coast. He's in Irvine, California. So if you know anyone in Irvine, California looking for guitar lessons, he's your man. And Dave has some big plans over there, and I know the other guys in California are going really well. So we've got to get the East Coast pumping. It's going to be an East Coast, West Coast race.
Yeah.
Okay, so Monty, have you got any topics, questions?
I didn't think I was going to make it tonight because I had a scouts function. So they ended early, and then I got your notifications that the hangout was going. So I was like, oh, I'll just rush home and catch the hangout. So I didn't really think of any questions.
No worries. That's fine.
Let's see. I got the flyers coming.
Yeah. Just a little bit of background on your studio and so forth. You're teaching from where? Home or studio?
I'm at home, and I got a couple music stores that I still teach at.
Okay. Yeah.
So
excellent.
Working on a location, because my wife's ready for me to get out of the house. Plus, I got to clean the house every single day because I have dogs. So
yes,
it's kind of hard. It'd be nice if I could just clean once a week or once a month even.
Yeah.
Instead of every day. It's like,
I
got students coming. Oh, grab the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah. So
getting
it.
What I have works. I got the living room as a waiting room, and then I use the dining room. I just move the table over, and I got my amp set up. And,
cool. It's comfortable, and I think sometimes we do get comfortable, and it's good to be comfortable, but sometimes it can be the thing that's sort of holding us back as well, because it's like things are cruisy.
Yeah.
I'm not in a rush to go anywhere or do anything, so there's not that sense of urgency. You look at Michael, for instance, at the beginning of the year, he signed up to a $600 a week rent or something, and he literally had no students, and it's like, I've got to get students, I've got to pay this rent, otherwise I'm in big trouble. So
do or die.
Exactly, do or die, and he went hard, and I can see now he's a bit more relaxed. I can see it in your face, Michael, that you don't have that same anxiety look.
I can pack my food and stuff like that now. It's good.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm not seeing the bone so much. I can see a bit of you're starting to eat again. It's coming back.
A little color in his face, huh?
That's it. Yeah, he's looking healthy again. Okay, cool. So I will just touch on this, what we were talking about that I put up on the Facebook group about no more free, and just to go through why and how and what has been learned. And I think it's really important, and I want to sort of say this up front, that I don't always get it right, and I don't always know the answers. All I know is that I'm willing to try things and test things, and sometimes I'll find out that it's not the way to go. And so I think it's important to be flexible, especially in today's very rapid changing business world. If I think back to when I started G4, which was, by the way, we're pretty well on the anniversary, 10-year anniversary from when G4 kicked off. It was this time. It was November that I signed the lease for the first location, and but it was at the end of October when I was speaking to the real estate agent about it. So we've come a long way in 10 years, and I think back to how things were then, and my main form of advertising was still flyers, of course, but it was the only outside of flyers. My other marketing was newspapers. Internet marketing was not even a consideration. There was no internet marketing in Australia at that point. It had started, Adwords, I think it started in about 2004 in the US, but it hadn't hit Australia at that point. And I think it wasn't until about 2007 that I started using Adwords, and very cautiously, and it was very cheap, actually. I remember we were paying like 1 cent a click. It was just amazing. But I think there was still, it was a different vibe then. People were not sort of sure about it. You know, they might have been clicking on the ads, but they still weren't sure. But it was great, because we were really, one of the very first guitar schools, if not the first, in Sydney to be using Adwords. Then things developed online, and websites became a big deal. Having all the right websites, all the SEO, all that sort of stuff. In the beginning, it was just have a website. That was the first thing. The statistics back then were something like 95% of businesses don't have a website. And all this kind of data coming out, and then obviously it's progressed to the point, and then Facebook ads, which only turned up themselves 4 years ago, I think now. And Facebook ads have evolved immensely just in the last few months. They've come a long way, and we've now got Instagram ads, which are going to appeal to a younger audience, and it's something that is now, the Instagram is kind of like the AdWords were 10 years ago or so, where they're cheap. So I'm just trying to work out how we can leverage that. They do appeal to a younger audience, but that's a good thing. We just need to know how to tap in on it. And leverage those ads. So the whole remarketing thing is kicked in now. Remarketing is the latest rage in marketing circles. So if I come back to the no more free approach, the reason that we've been doing the free approach is because I tested it with my business, which is what you guys are part of, G4 Guitar Seeking Teachers. It works really well for that kind of business, any kind of online business. Especially where there's coaching and training involved. It really helps to put an ebook together, and this is the strategy: put an ebook, put an offer, a report, whatever, and people come to your website, they get your ebook, they get your report, and then from there they learn more about who you are, and you build some trust, and then they want to know a little bit more, and on it goes. And so it works really well. The thing about what you guys are doing on a local level is that where most of your traffic is coming through people who are seeking guitar lessons, and they're coming through the ads, which we've already got for $99 or £59 for the 5 lessons. So the mismatch has been really, as I realise now, has been the incongruency between the ad and the website. So they see the ad, $99, bang, and yes, we've had that on the web page, but then when they get to the web page, they're not getting a lot of information about G4, and they're saying, hey, get a free download for the G4 method. And so even though it works a little bit on some levels, and some of the teachers have picked up a few students from it here and there, the main problem is that when people come from an ad, what really needs to happen is that it needs to be a follow-through on that ad, to where the ad gets them, it's like a headline to a story, 25 people dead due to mistake by whatever, and then they hit on that story, they go bang, and then if they go to the website and it has some ad about something completely different, buy a new Hyundai car or go on a holiday or something like that, and then there's some article that doesn't seem to match the headline, you get confused pretty quickly, and the next thing you know, you clicked off the website because it doesn't look like the right place to be. So that's where our ad, which has that $99 offer, people who are clicking on that, they know what they're clicking about. So when they land on the page, it should have the offer. That should really be what they see first, and then it should have more information. So, and by having a video, which I think is reportedly very effective, and I understand why. I think that will be. You obviously got to make a decent video. You don't want you in your pajamas, smoking and drinking and swearing and on a video. It's got to be something that looks good and looks presentable, and you're confident, and positive, and happy, and not overselling it but not underselling it, and getting that right balance. And so it might take you a few takes to get it right, but I think if you can come up with a video, even a short video, even a 60-second video of, hi, my name is David from G4 Guitar. I'm the head teacher here at G4 Guitar Pittsburgh, and I'd just like to tell you a little bit about what we do here. We use what we call the G4 Guitar method. The reason I like using the G4 Guitar method is because it's structured. We get to use checklists. The students really respond to it well. We have different programs for different ages, blah, 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 blah. So you're explaining to them in a almost like a personal way to them when they're watching the video. They're feeling personally engaged, and you keep it quick and snappy. Don't drag on, and then they go, okay, well now I know what they are. And then you could even do a quick look around your studio and go, well, here's my studio, and here's where the lessons are conducted, etc., etc. So whatever you think will work, will make you look good and come across as a positive kind of video, I think that would help. And then, as Jez mentioned, and we're going to test with Jez, is having a tripwire where if they don't want to take the five-week intro for $99, then have something maybe underneath that or down below where it says $5 for a trial lesson. But like the point that Jez is making and most of the marketers make is that you don't want to give away free. You've got to get them to pay something so that they feel that they've actually bought something. There's got to be some financial transaction there, otherwise they're not going to value it in any way. So, any comments? Anybody?
I was just thinking, it's an idea to have a call me button, like you click there, so get someone to call me.
Yep. So a callback, you mean, or to?
Yeah, callback. Yeah.
Yeah, callback. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think there is on Thrive. I think there is a callback option there. Yeah, and that would be good. I think that way. I know they can do it on the mobile websites. It's got a callback feature, which is installed on all your mobile websites. And about half, a little bit over half actually, of the traffic from your websites is mobile. So just keep that in mind now. Yeah. So I think it's the way to go. If we can get the more congruency between the ads and the website. I know, Monty, you've emailed me. I've seen your email. I haven't responded, but I'll respond to you now. Yeah, I'll keep it going for you for now. And what I'd really like to do is show you guys how to do it yourself, to get in there and sort of tweak your own websites. Because if we've got, I know we want to play the consistency game, and that's important, but we also want to have it where, you look at someone like Paul Andrews, who's coming up with some great ideas, and he's doing his own sort of market testing and things like that, and he's sharing it with you guys, and that's what we want. Is we want, across the board, try different things and share them, and then take the best ideas, take the ones that we can see that are working for different teachers. And like with Jez, we're going to do the tripwire, and he's so when we've done that, we can share that information with you, so you guys can decide whether or not you want to do it as well. It's definitely all the rage. The example which was given to me at one of the seminars was where they said, the lawnmower guy turns up and says, I'll mow your lawns for $5. And this was in a wealthy area, and $5 is a big lawn. $5 you hardly pay for the petrol to run your lawnmower. But the second mow would be $10, followed by the third mow, which would be $30. $30, $35 there on like a kind of a fair charge. But the first one's $5, so you can see what kind of job we do. The second one, we'll do a second job to show that we follow up, and we'll do it at a low cost, just to give you, something to see it in motion. And then the third one is at a kind of a normal price, but still not expensive, still a reasonable price. But what he then goes on to do is sells them, lots of other services, trimming their trees and landscaping their gardens and all this sort of thing. So he uses the lawn mowing service as really the front end, the tripwire, to bring them in, and that's where we should also be looking at the intro. The intro is really the way of getting people to come in at a reasonable price. $99 is, considering they're getting all the materials and they're getting, now that we take it off, and this is, I think, one of the big things about taking the method away as a free thing, is that now it gets its value back. Giving it away free was losing value. So now we can sort of say the method itself is, $47. If you want to buy it, you can buy it and go off and teach yourself. So that's what I'm saying to you guys. You can still sell it as a method, and maybe for you guys that are a shop front, Michael, and you can actually have a bunch of them in your shop ready to sell for $47, which also gives them access to the members' website for, say, 6 months. And because I've set up the basic one, by the way, the basic membership is for 6 months. So if someone signs up to that, so if you have a new intro student, even if they drop out after the intro, they'll still get 6 months on the website. And then after that, if they want to continue, then they have to sign up or purchase again to get another period. Mm-hmm. So that creates value around the method, creates value around your offer for the intro, and if you, like I say, if Jez and I will test this tripwire offer and see what happens. There's one thing I know from doing these marketing seminars and my own experience in business, is there's always a price point in every market that when you find that hot point, that's where people buy. And that's what we need to do. We need to find that point where it's not free, and it's because free results in a lot of giveaway, but not a lot of response often. And it's not, $99 is okay. I find $99 worked for me because I was getting phone calls. It works well for the flyers, but we might find that there's a different price point, and that's probably what we're going to find, especially online through Facebook ads. What's the price point that people are willing to pay? Is it $20? Is it $30? What is that price that people are willing to pay to get? And you can package it up. So is it one lesson? Maybe that's what you need to do. Just do one lesson for a small price. We've got to find that, and as we do more and more research, we'll get closer and closer to it, and then I think it'll really make a difference. Any questions?
I was just going to say, I think the main thing. Oh, sorry.
No, you go, Michael, first. Yeah, you can go in a minute. Yep.
Yeah, and I think the main thing is that on the website, it's very simple and easy when people first come to it for them to leave their details and leave their contact number or email address, and like Joachim says, call back or whatever. So I just finished reading the Inbound Marketing. Have you read that one? You probably read it already.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Talking about integrating Facebook and LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff as well. But that was one thing it said was make sure it's like super easy. The customers know exactly what they need to do, put in their details, and whether it's a free offer or whether it's not, as long as that's an easy thing for them to do.
It's got to be, and I saw a video that Joachim just did a seminar with a guy, and he said it was really good, and I saw a video with that guy where he gets his 4-year-old or something to run his trading program to show how simple it was, and this is exactly what you have to do. If a 4-year-old can't go onto your website and navigate it and get the information that they want, then it's probably too hard. It probably needs more work.
I was just thinking with the video. So some of the things with that. So you have Title Opus is that you have a click. If you click the video, you go to a second page, and then it's just he's presenting the and then then at some point it pops up like a button say book now or something like that, and then they can go, all right, so now it's time to book.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. That's a good idea. And see, having things that take people to different points as well, it really helps you to track the path that they take. So I think that's worth looking into as well. If someone clicks on a video, maybe don't have the video there on the page, but just have it looking like the video. When they click it, they go to another page, and then we know how many people are actually going to that next page. They go to the next page, and we can have the video on autoplay, so as soon as they go to that next page, the video will automatically start playing. They don't have to double-click it. And then it could have that page where the video is, underneath it, it could simply have contact form. That's it. So it takes away any of the other information and just gets them straight on. So we know that people who are clicking on the video are interested in knowing more about the lesson, so they go to that second page. That's a great idea. Yeah, that's what we need to do. And I think what I'm going to do really is I'm going to work more with you guys in getting you to understand Thrive. The main reason I got Thrive was, well, the main reason because it looks great, but the other is they're very easy to use. So getting you guys into using it, which some of them are, some of you guys are. David Minns has been editing his own website. It's very easy once you understand. Go and watch some of the videos that I've done, and also what Thrive have done. They've got plenty of videos on how to use their platform, and then you can get in and start doing things. And as if we've got even 10 of us doing it, we're going to learn a lot faster than if it's just me doing it all the time. All right, and that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a team here. I've mentioned this before. I'm not looking for new members right now. What I'm looking to do is cultivate the members that we have and really get you guys firing on all cylinders. I'd rather have 40 or 50 great schools than have 1,000 average schools. That's what I'm looking to do, and I just want to sort of bring you guys right up to date with what's doing, get you involved in getting this process of moving forward, because the technology now is moving so quickly that no one person can keep up with it. It just moves too quickly, and so as a team, this is where we're going to be able to really get the advantage here and stay up with everything is if we're working together as a team. And again, I look at each of you guys are doing different things. You've been to a seminar in the last couple of days. Michael, I know you're constantly learning new things and looking at things. Monty, you're putting stuff from what's happening in the US, hopefully, and giving us some ideas over there. David Minns is emailing me almost every day about his Facebook research that he's doing. He's looking a lot into Facebook. Paul Andrews, as we can see, is doing a lot of things as well, experimenting with different styles of ads and different platforms and video animation. And so this is what we need. We need to all be sort of doing things and coming in and being a part of doing it as a team. Yeah. All right. I better end there because I've got a meeting coming up in a minute. So thanks, guys. And, yeah, see you same time, same channel, hopefully next week.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Night.